So the boys and I have been chatting about testosterone a lot in Bro because it's probably a topic that is affecting a lot of us. And so I was telling them about my journey to try and correct my testosterone because since 2020 I've known that it's wrong, even though being told otherwise by GPs. But anyway, so we thought it would be good for me to share my story because it might inspire some of you guys to go and get your levels checked and start your own journeys. In 2020, I started going to GPs to try and get my hormones checked, to try and also get some assistance with my testosterone levels in particular. But back in 2020, I was 29, right? So I'm going to GPs, I get my blood tests done, and my testosterone is low, right? Well, I now know it's low, but back in 2020, I was considered normal range. But for my height, weight, age, it's not normal, right? Back then, I was 330 picomoles per litre of free testosterone. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, 330 for a 29-year-old who's 6'4" and 90 kilos, it's not normal, right? So anyway, this GP and pretty much everyone I spoke to that year kept telling me I was normal, but I knew I wasn't. So for the next few years, I tinker and dick around with herbs and all sorts of shit, taking more vitamin D, taking more zinc. I tried everything from Tongkat Ali to the Fedoja, fenugreek, tribulus, all sorts of shit. And I mean, it got so crazy that I was probably spending upwards of $500 a month just trying to get this shit right so I would at least feel good. But yeah, and the main thing that I was feeling was just super unmotivated. I had no energy and just generally unhappy. Like I was just, I don't know, a very not who I used to be human being. So come 2023, or start of 2023, I reckon my herbs peaked, right? And then plateaued. And I reckon I dropped back to where I was all the way back in 2020 because I felt like just a crazy need to go get everything checked again because I just went back to being super depressed, super unmotivated. Anyway, and so I did. I went back to the GP, got myself checked, and lo and behold, my free testosterone levels were exactly the same as 2020. I'm 332 picomoles per litre, and like I got my test results back 2 weeks ago. I start speaking to this GP, and I said, "Let me guess, I'm normal range, right?" And he says, "Yeah, you're normal range." And I said, "But not for me." And he goes, "No, not for you. You're 32, and you should be significantly higher than this." I'm like, "Cool. What do we do?" So he writes me referrals for an endocrinologist and an androgynist. Anyway, you know, the ones that, what do you call them? Andrologist. It's called an andrologist. So in the meantime, I contact a specific low T clinic that I found here in Melbourne, and they get me to do a couple of extra blood tests because the ones that I got wasn't extensive enough. They wanted me to test estradiol on PSA. Anyway, those come back normal. It's still just my testosterone that's low, and I get chatting to the doctor from this low T clinic, and she starts to explain to me that they strive for 450 plus in men to make sure that they're feeling it, you know, as good as they can be. At 300 to 350, you start feeling unmotivated and unhappy like I was, and then at 250, you're on the couch and depressed. And so I'm at 332. So anyway, long story short, I've been written a script to pick up my testosterone, and I will be picking it up in a few days. So I'll let you know how I go.